Diagnosis is a word that we need to explore and to understand the purpose of a diagnosis. And often it is misused in today's society. But I'm going to answer the question in regards to making it about autism spectrum disorder just as an example, but it relates to any diagnoses per se. But if we understand autism spectrum disorder, we understand that for a person to receive a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, which I'll just refer to as ASD, it's really just a description of what a person's strengths are and what a person's weaknesses are. So there's a set characteristics that people say, okay, well, you tick the weaknesses category for each of these criteria. And so because of that, we're going to give you a label. Yeah, and that label is, in this example, ASD or autism spectrum disorder. But a person with ASD is no different to you or no different to me, because I also have a group of strengths and I also have a group of weaknesses. But those strengths and weaknesses are not who I am, they're just a description of my strengths and weaknesses. But at the moment, my weaknesses don't yet come with a label. But maybe one day they will, and like I've always the first to say that technology is one of my weaknesses, and I have no doubt in the future that there'll be a technology disorder coming as a formal diagnosis. So one day I probably will have a label of some sort. But right now I don't. But I'm no different to a person that does have a label, because I've got my strengths and weaknesses, they also have their strengths and weaknesses. So when I'm approaching a person with a label, all that does is gives me an understanding of what are the aspects of life that that person may not yet have developed the skills to deal with. Say, for example, with autism spectrum disorder, the weaknesses are often in the areas of socialization, communication, and what we might call repetitive behaviours or adaptive interest. But I could go on and expand on that, but it's just really a tick box to say you do have these areas of weakness. But if we take the labels out of it, yeah, and we just make it about strengths and weaknesses, every single person in the world is the same. Yeah, but we add the label, and it's just saying, okay, great, now I've got a description of what are some of your weaknesses. So if a person comes to me with a diagnosis of ASD, I actually need to be less of a detective, because I straight away know what are some of the areas that we need to address. If a person comes to me without a diagnosis, I just need to be a little bit more inquisitive to go, well, where are your areas of weakness? What are the areas of life that you haven't yet self-mastered those skills? So labels in of themselves can be supportive in the sense that they bring understanding. They bring understanding of what a person's strengths and weaknesses are. They can also give access to funding if and where funding is needed, but to me it's about the understanding. But where they're misused in today's society is that people start to identify themselves or identify other people by a label. Much the same as if we made the reference to a person being an alcoholic. They're not an alcoholic. It's just they drink a lot of their behaviour is that they drink a lot of alcohol. A person is not autistic, in my opinion. Yes, but a person may have characteristics of autism spectrum disorder which just tell me what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I have clients coming in to me and they say, oh, I can't do that, that's my autism. And I'll go, no, that's not true. I will never, ever allow you to use your label as an excuse. You can't do that because that's a weakness that you've not yet chosen to make a strength. So when you're ready to make that weakness a strength, then I'm here to support you.
And if you can't at that point, we'll use your strengths. We will appreciate your strengths.
Absolutely. So the crippling of diagnoses, the crippling of labels is where people become identified by that and almost think it's something that's incurable and something that is them. And I'll go, no, it is never an excuse. It's just an understanding, and that's it.
So as becoming identified means that we lose sight of who we truly are in essence before we even look at behaviour?
Absolutely. It's like being identified says, I'm not an awesome, amazing being, I'm autistic. I'm not an awesome, amazing, lovable being, I'm schizophrenic. I go, no, you're not schizophrenic. Yes, you have symptoms that have you tick the box to say that you have behaviours consistent with schizophrenia, but that's not who you are. You're an awesome, amazing, lovable being who has experienced life in a way that they do not yet feel completely equipped to deal with, and as a result you have symptoms that we will call schizophrenia today, but it's not who you are.
Every now and every then I look up